Hello, I'm Lynn French, Executive Director of Hope in a Home. Welcome to our little humble abode here on our street in Washington. Today you're going to meet 5 of our families, and we hope that you'll get a taste for our work by meeting. First, you'll meet Tiara, who came to us from the DC General Shelter. She's been with us only a few months. She's made great strides. Her life was diverted through problems with drugs, and she has gotten the drugs out of her system, came to us to rebuild her life, and is doing a great job of working. She's getting ready to go back to school to get a master's degree so that she can become a counselor and guiding her son through, I think he's in elementary school now, but he's developing wonderfully. Next up, you'll meet Lanetta Grant, who is a graduate. She's from phase 2 of our program. Since she graduated, she has started her own business. She recently has gotten a contract to even go around to schools to teach dance in the schools. Third up, you'll meet Ashley Prince, who came to us because she has a chronic kidney disease. And although she has a college degree, she isn't in a position to be able to work a full-time job and support herself and her young child. She's been able to stabilize her life in our program, enroll her daughter in an excellent bilingual daycare center, and she's now been signed up for SSI, Social Security income, that will give her a steady, permanent income, and she will then be eligible to get a permanent apartment through that program. Meet Lakimora Orfe, who also is a phase 2 person, and since she left the program, she's been out 3 years now. She became a homeowner this past summer. We're very proud of her. She teaches and she owns her own co-op unit in Columbia Heights. She has 2 wonderful sons who we call the Drama Kings because they're so talented and they're thriving in good school. And last but not least, you'll meet Erica Caraway, who has just been with us a couple months. Erica and her husband were in jeopardy of having their children taken from them by CFSA for educational neglect and residential neglect. And CFSA saw a spark in them and placed them with us so that they could rebuild their lives, because they really are good parents and do love their children, and they're well on the road to rebuilding a strong life together and finding success and independence. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate your interest.
For my situation, thinking that I wouldn't be able to get my life back on track or to have the financial education to be able to work out my credit and to get out of debt, those were all the things that I knew that I needed to do. And so Hope in a Home gave me the stability to be able to focus on that, not being concerned where myself or my son was going to lay our heads. So it gave just that. It gave me hope that, in spite of my downfall and my shortcomings, that I can make it and I can do it better this round. I was staying in DC General Shelter for a little over a year because of previous marijuana use that, on top of a lot of other things, just caused me to lose my home. And so I was able to interview with Hope in a Home and was granted the opportunity to move here to begin to get my life back on track. So I've been able to pick up more hours. I had a job where the hours were like sitting on the table for me. But because of my instability and the shelter rules, I wasn't able to have someone to watch my son or all of those things like that. So I've been picking up more hours. I've paid off quite a few debt accounts that I had. I've not perfected, but I'm working on diligently learning how to budget and being more mindful about spending money. So over the last 3 months, just being proactive instead of reactive to my money and being able to know, all right, you need to make sure that you work X amount of hours. You don't need to eat out X amount of times throughout the week because you have whatever bill is due on the 15th, even though it's still the end of 1 month, the beginning of the next month rolls around really quickly. So breaking old habits and developing new habits has really been my journey and my task. I was in the shelter, and I can't tell you how many square footage that room was, but it made me miss having my own space and a key to my house, not someone having to come and open my door. And so I have keys, and it's really the small things. You know, I can send my son to his room. I can go in and I can cook my own food. My whole year that I was dealing with Virginia Williams and in the system for being in the shelter, 6 of those I was in a hotel, and my refrigerator was like this big. I couldn't even put a doggy bag into my refrigerator. I had to get a cooler to put milk in it and make sure I put ice in there so my son can eat. So to go into a refrigerator, all of those things, those are small things to some, but when you don't have it, you miss it, and you realize how much of an impact not being able to eat properly, not being able to cook for your son, having to be in by a curfew, all of those things play a big part in what you're trying to do, or let me say me, what I was trying to do as far as raising my son, as well as putting myself in a better predicament. So to have my own space where I can come and I can go as I want, where I can lock my doors, I can have somebody there, I can kick somebody out, I can clean my stuff like it's my shower. I can put my feet in my shower. You have no idea. Like one of the books that I'm working on is called Back to Flip Flops. You know what I'm saying? We put flip flops on because we want to. But in that shelter life, I had to. Drop a washcloth, that washcloth is dead. It's gone. You know, so all of those things, they're really, really small. But I've learned in this process not to take those things for granted, because those were the things that were creating stumbling blocks for me. So Hope in a Home has given me a home. It has given me an opportunity to pursue all that I need to pursue in life, resources, a great family-like environment, as well as putting my son and myself into a new environment. So coming from Southeast to Northwest, this is almost like a little piece of paradise, just a little piece. And so, yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to more. So being here at Hope in the Home, we have to meet with our case manager once a week. So my case manager, Miss Mary Jo, she's been just a great abundance of energy, I have to say the least, but also helping me to plan. When we talk about goals here at Hope in the Home, it helps me to focus my life and to keep my mind focused on what it is that I'm trying to do. I have to meet with her every week, and we get assignments that we have to accomplish, or I have to know, you know, what answers to certain questions that she's going to ask. So it forces me to actually look at my life and to become more active in my life. I want budgeting to be like second nature to me, like just as thick as I breathe. I want to be able to gotta knock this out or write this down. But also I'm working on a CD. It's going to be a cross between a poetry CD and an empowerment CD, because I believe that everything that happens in life happens for a reason. And for me, it would be selfish of me to not share what I've gone through, the good, the bad, and the ugly, you know, because there's somebody out here who may be in my situation, who may have been in my situation, or who may find themselves in my situation. And so it's important for me to share my wisdom. So that's one of the goals that I'm working on. Another thing that I want to do is I want to get back into school. Not totally excited about it, but I know that it's necessary. So school is definitely on the agenda within this year.
I had a job. I got terminated from DC government, and I looked up and I was like, I have nowhere to go. No one would accept unemployment as a resource of income, so I couldn't find a job right away and ended up homeless. And one of my college mates, she told me about Hope Shepherd's Cove, and I called the homeless hotline. They had 2 beds available, and one of the beds I got, but I couldn't take my kids. So that was the downfall. So I had to ask their father, would you mind taking them for a couple of months? The program was only supposed to be for 90 days, but I didn't find anywhere, so they allowed me to stay there for 5 months. So from there, I got interviewed by Hope in the Home. Mary Jo Schumacher was my case manager. That's who interviewed me. I remember calling and talking to Mary Jo, who was the intake person at the time. I was just so anxious, and she came out to Shepherd's Cove shelter where I was staying at. She did an in-person interview where she kind of went over like what brought me to Shepherd's Cove, did I have kids, what was my goals, how did I get there. So from that point, she told me about the waiting list, and there will be an apartment coming up soon, but they had to interview more people before they select me. But after she really saw that my goals and what I had to offer to bring Hope in a Home, I ended up getting picked. And from there, I got my key. I didn't have any furniture at all. I was just coming here fresh, had my kids. I was so excited because, again, it was like being in this place, living with all of these women, you know, not being able to cook, not being able to clean the way you want to be clean, just being at peace. And when she gave me that key, it was like, oh my gosh, I get peace. My kids get to have their own room because they were staying with their father, so they didn't see me as much as they normally would see me because they was living with me. So that process, it was good because I got to see, like, well, Murray Joe got to see what my life was like before coming into Hope in a Home. So it was exciting meeting the staff. Everybody was like super excited when I got here. I got to meet the education specialist, the director at the time. So everybody was like hands on deck, like ready to get my kids in the best schools, ready for me to excel in what I was trying to do. The moment I told her I had got laid off from the police department, they was ready to help me to dive back. They wrote letters. They wrote letters to the chief. Like, they didn't even know me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, these people are doing real work. Like, they really want to see you thrive. So that's what the process was like for me. The camps, the education, being able to provide those education services for my kids, even though my kids were in, I thought, was great schools, but when you have a specialist on your staff who really goes out into the schools, make sure that the schools are performing where they need to perform, because as parents, a lot of times we don't dig deep. We don't go and really research the schools, but they have a specialist on hand, on staff, that really goes in and say, no, your child needs this school. She's going to do well here. He's going to do well here. And my daughter has been going to the same school that the education specialist helped me to get her in since I've been in Hope in a Home. And it has been awesome. The camps. My kids have probably never went horseback riding, but they got that experience at Hope in a Home. Homework, tutoring. My kids' grades have been up because of the tutoring programs. Again, free. They didn't give these tutors just to say, hey, we just want to give you. They really cared. And my son still has the same mentor. Still has the same mentor who comes to my house and get my son Isaiah every other weekend, nonstop, faithfully. And they really do a great job at researching these people, like really matching your kids up with the best tutor or mentor. And most places, they just kind of just throw you to anybody. But that wasn't my experience with Hope in a Home. They really want to help you. I am in phase 2, which I am a graduate of Hope in a Home. With being in phase 2, it really has positioned me for my assignment. My assignment for being, I call it my assignment because that's what God given me. And through Hope in a Home, it has pushed me into it. So with that being said, from the police academy to Hope in a Home to becoming to this journey of Dynasty Arts and Movement, which was birthed through Hope in a Home. My case manager, Murray Joe, who would meet with me every week, we would establish goals. And I told her I've always danced since I was a little girl. I've always been passionate. And she was like, okay, we need to bring that to life. And they brought that to life for me. They took me on this journey of being an intern at the Washington Ballet. They have took me on a journey with being mentored by a board member of the Merlin Youth Ballet, being able to be exposed to behind the scene of how do you run a dance studio? What is that about? And that birthed Dynasty Arts and Movement, which is my now business. And I service youth between ages 2 to adults. Now I run a mobile dance program where I'm going in and out the school systems, charter, Christian-based, in the public schools, where I'm offering ballet, tap, acrobatics, jazz, and it wouldn't has never came to life if this program would not have literally positioned me for my purpose. It took the staff members who believed in my purpose and believed in my assignment that I was greater than just saying, hey, I'm still living in the moment of being at DC Police, because I was stuck, being, oh, I want to go back there. And then once Murray Joe knew, wow, you had an assignment, let's get this birthed. And I'm so excited in my journey. She also helped me to land a job at E.L. Haynes, where I started there as an aftercare dance teacher, ended up being a behavioral specialist, again, through Hope in a Home. And I'm like, I wouldn't have found this school. I wouldn't have birthed my purpose. And I'm doing amazing things now. This journey has just been amazing. I'm now speaking about my story about childhood trauma. I also birthed another business, Beauty After Broken. And I really just look up to this program. Anything that I have done, they always supported me, even with my dance journey in Dynasty Arts and Movement. They actually helped me get my daughter to Debbie Allen for the summer, California. My daughter probably wouldn't have experienced it. And that also came from that assignment, because they seen it in me. They seen it in my daughter. They helped me with the program. I know you asked me a question about the different programs. My daughter was able to go to Dance Institute of Washington, where, again, Hope in a Home funded it, which led her, again, a part of that training. She auditioned for Debbie Allen. She got it. So she spent 5 weeks there. And I just want to say thank you again, Hope in a Home, for being able to birth that assignment, that dance ministry that's inside of me. And I'm just happy to be a part of phase 2.
I was born and raised in Washington, D.C. I attended Washington Math Science Technology Public Charter High School. It was abbreviated WMST. It's a very, very long name. Upon completion of my senior year, I went on to Raleigh, North Carolina to attend St. Augustine's College, where I studied psychology, and I obtained a Bachelor's of Science in Psychology in 2008. I stayed in North Carolina. I obtained a job. I had an apartment. I had an entire life until I woke up one day and was full of fluid in my legs and my ankles. At the time, I was working at a restaurant as a hostess, and I just assumed I had a long shift. I was tired. I needed to rest. The fluid never went away. I decided to go to the emergency room to check about it to make sure everything was okay. They admitted me. They ran some tests, and it was brought to my attention that I actually had no functioning of my kidneys. I was placed on medication. I was released from the hospital. I had an episode every month and was admitted in the hospital every month for about a year before my nephrologist finally decided, this is it. It's way deeper than this. We have to place you on dialysis immediately. I did dialysis for 2.5 years. It got bad. I lost my apartment. I lost my job. I didn't have anything. I was staying with a friend on her couch for a while. My family back in Washington, D.C. said, enough is enough. You need to come back home where there's family, where there are more programs, where there's more people, where there's more support. I came back to Washington, D.C. about 2012, transferred my dialysis. I did dialysis here for a while, and I was actually introduced to a new nephrologist who I see now at Washington Hospital Center, and he took me off of dialysis about June of 2013, and I've been off ever since. However, I still take several medications daily because of the FSGS, as well as I have a history of pulmonary embolus, hypertension, low blood pressure. So I'm taking medications daily for that, and I'm being seen monthly by my nephrologist. They've been very supportive as far as just a bigger support system. They're like extended family. I actually was hospitalized a month ago, and I was so stressed. I had to figure out who was going to keep my daughter while I was being hospitalized. I finally figured that part out. But then when it came to discharge, I actually didn't have a ride home. And so one of the employees from Hope and Home actually picked me up from the hospital, took me to get my medication, then took me to get my daughter from daycare. So they've been a really huge support system. They're like an extended family. Hope and Home has provided me hope that just because you go through hardships, whether it be medically, financially, educational, there is a way out. There's a way to better yourself. There are programs and there are people that are willing to help assist you accomplish the goals for you and your family.
I was recently divorced, and my brother stopped me in church one day, and he said, "I need you to talk to David." And I said, "About what?" He said, you know David, him and his wife were in a housing program. I don't know the ins and outs of everything, but you should really talk to him." So I went to David, had a great conversation with him. He told me all about Hope and Home, and I felt like, maybe this is a place that I can begin to put my life back together after a divorce. And one thing led to another, and I ended up having an interview maybe about a month or two later, and everything started. I think after maybe like 2 months after the interview, we moved in like the next month. So with Hope and Home, I've been able to expose them to different things, and my oldest son with music as well. He, because of Hope and Home, he is able to attend, I don't know if you heard of him, he's a bass guitarist, Victor Wooten, his bass camp. He received a scholarship to his bass camp in Nashville. So he will be going there all by himself this summer. And one of the biggest accomplishments, which is what happened this past August, is I became a homeowner. So I was able to purchase a co-op, buy into a co-op in Columbia Heights, which is an area that I prayed for because my children are able to get to school without me. They're able to go to certain places without it. They're able to grow. You understand what I'm saying? And have their independence. And that's what I really wanted. And it's a safe area, beautiful, beautiful home, and I can afford it. As a single mother, I never thought that I can afford it, and I'm able to. So every month when we paid our rent, part of that went into a savings account for us, and what it did was it allowed us to save money, but also to clear up our debt. So whenever we needed it for a bill, something that needed to be done to clear up our debt, we were able to use that. And my caseworker, actually, we would actually get on the phone sometimes and call different creditors. We would call some of the debtors and speak with them, and some things I didn't know how to say, but yeah, she was a pretty tough cookie, and she got the point across. And she would say, look, she does not have the money, but what we can do is this, and this. And by sitting there listening to her, I was able to get on the phone myself and handle some of the business myself. And when we couldn't find a solution together, or the creditor was just being a little bit too hard, well, that's when she would say, hey, well, let's call this place, and this place will handle this. And she basically taught me how to budget and how to finance and how to pay off my debtors, so that my credit score definitely went up, and I was able to afford my own home.
I had a case with CFSA. I'd never heard of the program before. I just was in a really bad place, like going from like house to house, and I did have an apartment, but it was like getting really hard for me and my husband to afford the bills. So my caseworker, she told me like, hey, it's this program. It's called the Hope in the Home. And I just like, what? A Hope in the Home? I've never heard of it before, but yeah, she just gave me some details about it, like it was a transitional housing, and she think it'll be a really good program for my family. So that was about it. We just, she told me it was an interview. We had an interview, and we just went to the interview, and that's how I learned more about the program. They provided stable housing. That was like number one key, because like we were really at a place where like we was about to be evicted. So coming in was the stable housing, because that was right on track for me and my family at that moment, at that time. And just the support coming in, if the support was strong immediately. It's a big difference.
Were you having issues with CFSA?
Oh yes, I was definitely having issues with CFSA. Like, it's just with the attendance, it was just like, that's the biggest piece of why I had the case in the first place, because they were missing a lot of school. My husband and I was basically trying to, juggle getting them to school or, working. And sometimes we'll have to choose at some points what we wanted to do. So, yeah, it's definitely different. From a year ago to now, it's different. Just knowing that I have the stable housing, knowing that my kids have, the extracurricular programs, knowing that I have people fighting for my daughter. Miss Gray, she fights for my daughter, and knowing I have people that's fighting for me. Because, in May the 15th, actually, I'm going back to school for my high school diploma. So, that's a big step. I fought so much for that because I didn't want to do it. But, I finally boiled down to it, and I'm going to go back for my high school diploma. So, just to have those people that fight for you as well, that's the biggest lesson for me. When we first got here, my husband was actually really battling a bad addiction to marijuana. And like, he was going from bad jobs, like he was working part-time jobs and really couldn't keep nothing stable. But since we've been here, he's actually he don't smoke marijuana. It's different for me because I'm so used to him doing it, but he's enrolled in this therapy group that he copes with that. He can talk to people who does the same things as him or different things. But he attends that every Tuesday night. He actually went for to take up HVAC. So he did a test for that, full placement test for that. He didn't pass it, but he didn't give up on it. He's still going headstrong for that. And recently he applied for Jubilee Jobs, but not applied, but attended one of their orientations. And he was going for a week, all last week. And at the end of the week, they sent him on an interview. He was hired on the spot. So that's why he's not here, because he's enjoying his new job. So he was really excited about that. And the thing that got to me the most is him going to the program. He have to dress up, and I've never seen him in a tie, slacks, anything, no dress shoes, never. So it was different to see him like that. And it touched me, because I'm like, you maturing. He'd never wear anything like that. So just to see him in that form, he's a grown man, I was like, okay, it's nice. The kids, they're even better, their behavior is way better. They don't have to be so, the apartment is great, spacious. The kids don't have to be so cluttered. My son can be over here. My daughter's downstairs doing something else. Everyone always has something to do, and that's good for me. I just like to see my family happy and don't have to worry about the stress. Budgeting definitely is a big thing for me. Miss Marie Jo, she likes to do that budget. But I'm not big on the budget. I'm coming around to it, learning how to, save money and, things that I don't have to spend it on, I can be saving. So that's definitely great. But at the end, one of my biggest goals for the end of this program is just to have my high school diploma. Just not to stop at my high school diploma. I want to go to school for medical billing and coding. So hopefully I can do that, and to definitely increase my income, and to see my kids in great schools, to see them striving. That's where I want to be at the end of the 3 years. I feel like the program is giving me hope because I feel like I can finish. Like I just feel like I got a light at the end of the tunnel, and my mission is to get to the end. So if I can get to the end, for me, that's me succeeding. And that's my goal for right now. That's my hope. That's my goal. That's what I'm counting on, is to get to the end. Without, I know it's going to be like trials and tribulations. I'm going to have to, fight things off. But me just finishing it and completing it, and, knowing that I gained things from it, a high school diploma, stable housing for my kids and my husband, that, we don't have to worry about, being evicted or anything, increasing my income, get my credit better. That's my hope.